Greg Klevgard, viewer, says it doesn't matter who is the commissioner of the CFL. Their hands are tied to how they handle it. With no fans in the stands, it's going to be hard to make it a go. Just as fans, Lynch, were somewhat tied up in knots regarding the CFL, right? Like whether it's going to play or not. Can you imagine being in the league right now?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to plan for it?
Yeah. It'd be tough. It's going to be an interesting 2 months. Who's kidding ourselves? They're going to start at middle of May 15th training camp. So,
man,
let's hope. Let's hope. And they want to have 100 players.
What, in training camp?
Yeah.
There's no way. This is what you're hearing?
Yeah.
Metal Shingle Guy writes in on the Prairie Mobile text line. You can reach us at 306-840-8777. Prairie Mobile is your authorized SaskTel mobility dealer. Metal Shingle Guy says, no fans, no CFL, John. He goes on to say the Argos were over the cap last year. They played. They're the only team in the CFL. No fine.
Yep,
well,
that's right.
The way the CFL does business, I don't think they ever really explain why the Argos weren't fined for going over the salary cap. No. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of things the CFL does that doesn't make them look very good in that regard. I hope all of that changes whenever the CFL comes back.
Well,
bending the rules, do you think they'll change?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, they got 5 different scenarios there, and I hope that one of them must be good enough to put in place and be successful. Wouldn't you think? That they're successful businessmen putting the scenarios together. So you got to hope and think that their record of success in some areas in the past has got to get up to come up again, and so they can get together and put something out there so we can go and do it. And it might be, probably, it's going to be, they are going to play, but it's going to be on Labor Day, starting Labor Day with a 10-game schedule, ending in December with the playoffs in December and the Grey Cup 3 days before Christmas. That's got to be an idea.
Well, Larry in Medicine Hat's watching on this Flame Tech Football Friday, and he says, I wish the CFL would reveal the different scenarios, or is there only one? I'm not sure it's the onus is on the Canadian Football League to reveal that information. I don't think the NHL, NBA, NFL revealed any different scenarios they were looking at. I don't think there's an obligation for the Canadian Football League to divulge to the fans or to us how they plan to do things. Now, the fact is, I would think it seems like there's only one scenario, and that's playing with fans, period.
Yeah.
That's what we keep hearing.
Yeah.
I see no reason to think that that's not the case.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean,
and it is what it is.
NFL did it. It's been successful. They're going to increase the number of fans in the stands next year, so it can be done. Right? Well, can it?
No, I'm laughing at this. Wayne in Victoria says, do you ever think that the Riders would get away with going over the cap? You know what? It depends on the commissioner.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Good comeback. Yeah, that's right. It depends who the commissioner is, whether he likes you or not.
That's what it comes down to. That's the point. Cohan fined them.
Yeah.
Because in 2013, when they went over the salary cap, and I think it was $19,000, they got fined.
Yeah.
But I remember Jim Hobson saying at the time, it's a speeding ticket. Pay it. and Cohan loved the Riders. Yeah. But I think in the case, a lot of things have changed in the last year, obviously. The person that told me that MLSE was basically running the CFL and would be taking over the CFL, I'm not so certain that's off the table yet. But that guy, who, by the way, was a former MLSE employee, said Ambrosi didn't want to fine the Argos because he doesn't want to tick off MLSE. That makes sense, doesn't it, Lynch?
Yep, sure does.
From Jeff, the Stampeders fan, he says, it's cheating, plain and simple.
They'll be the 3rd or 4th time they've done it.
So what?
I can remember 4 times going through this same thing since I've been following this team really in depth since 1969, that they've had a salary cap, and everybody's going to stick to it. All the guys have agreed after the big meeting to set it up. They swear to it. They're going to stick to it. And they did for half a year. Then things change. And what changes is that people get desperate. They want to have good players in the field. So they know what they got to do to get good players. Pay big money, which goes over the salary cap.
I know. You're right. And from our views here, interesting. Okay. We started viewer takeover real early.
Yeah.
And that's good because we're breaking away a quarter of the hour to go to Swiss League Hockey, Swiss Pro League Hockey. Did you know Justin Abdelkader's playing in that league? It's good hockey. We're breaking away a quarter, too.
Really?
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, why should they get away with it? Who says they should get away with it? We're not advocating anybody should get away with it.
They're supposed to be fined if they go over. Does this commissioner have much experience in this type of situation? He's got a lot of experience in the world, I'll tell you that, and any lawyer, I think he is. I would think he would have a lot of guts. He played, and he should be willing to fine people that go over this. But I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to squeeze in as many as I can before we break here. Randolph Zora says the whole league has to have a fundraising telethon. They could do that. I think there's got to be a reason why they haven't yet, and I think any league that holds a fundraiser would be surprised that they don't raise as much money as they expect to. Because I've seen that with leagues and teams here. Telemiracle last weekend raised over $5 million in this province. I think people are realizing life and death is one thing, sports is a luxury. I'm hearing it all the time. And it's been, for a guy that spent his whole life in sports, it's kind of hard to swallow and realize. We never had to deal with a pandemic before. No. And you were realizing in sports, it's not as important as we thought.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.